Let's just sew whatever.
Hello everybody. Welcome to this journey. Come with me as we fail to make this clear Teresita train case. This is a sign I should go to bed. I don't know what time it is right now, but I am exhausted. 2 layers of TPU, bad idea. Don't add stabilizer, unnecessary. But the structure is so good. I had some pretty big tension issues with my machine, which is very unusual for my machine to have with clear TPU. So I've finally experienced like looping in certain areas, that kind of a thing. I would say you could follow these steps, but I don't know what materials would be better to use if you don't want raw edges inside. Because you could add your zipper and flip it, top stitch it, and it would just be that raw, not floppy edge, but the way I have it, this is fully lined with clear TPU. So like you cannot feel or see the edge of the zipper because it's within the seam. And if you just did a single layer, you would feel that edge. So you could potentially cover it with a single layer of binding or a little bit of jelly vinyl or something, but I really am in love with this, but only because of my fabric and color choices. It's Barbie Grimace. So there's that. But yeah, come along with me as I fail this journey. Learn what not to do. This is a cautionary tale of clear TPU, but man, is it adorable.
Hello, it is I, Editing Lauren. I realized after re-seeing the clear tailor tote video post that I should have been cutting my second layer of clear from my stabilizer pieces and interfacing, which would keep it out of the seam allowances. So if you try this, make sure you cut down your lining piece to the stabilizer size. Okay, now everything I say, just keep that in mind. You got it? Stabilizer. Clear lining as stabilizer. All right, as you were.
All right, let's get started making the Teresita train case in clear. I'm very excited for this. So I am using a stabilizer on the bottom because I'm using jelly vinyl on the bottom, and I'm using peel and stick interfacing from Fabric Therapy, self-adhesive. But I honestly feel like 2 layers of TPU is sturdy enough. If you wanted to, you could even do a 3rd piece of clear as your stabilizer piece. I debated it and I didn't do it, but totally an option. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and baste together my top and bottom pieces. I am gonna be using the jelly as the bottom exterior and the clear printed as the lining. I'm saying it out loud to try and not forget. So this will be my exterior. This is my lining. I figured it wouldn't matter if you saw the interfacing, the bottom lining. It's going to be full of stuff anyway. I am making this into more of a toiletry bag than a little classy handbag as intended, but you could still make with the crossbody attachment even if you're using clear. So keep that in mind. It'd be a really fun stadium bag. You could add like some statement piping. That would look pretty cool. So right now I'm folding it in half to mark out my quadrant centers. So finding one side center, matching those, finding the others. If you would prefer to measure, you could do that. Or if you don't want to snip, you could use a marking pen to just mark it. But this is the bottom. Set that aside. This is going to be the top. And even though these layers stick together, I'm still gonna do a quick little baste. I am using glitter TPU for my lining and a printed glitter TPU for my exterior. So I thought that might help. I'm sure other people get this way too. I get a little disoriented when I'm sewing with clear, totally clear, because like I have to focus in a different way, and I'm always like done for the day if I make anything clear. It's just how I've been feeling lately. So once again, marking those quadrants. Before I move on. Make sure you have a really sharp pair of scissors for this. I'm using Kai shears that I bought from Jess of So Many Creations, but I'm sure they sell them tons of other places. I'm gonna make my handle before I move on so that I can add it to the top. And I have cut jelly to 1.5, folded the centers in, and then I cut a piece of clear to like just under 3/4 that I'm gonna sew on top. So it looks a little ridiculous. And I taped it all together last night, so it might not. Why are you fighting me? And I'm just gonna sew all the way around the 4 sides. Dang. She's come undone. The pattern has you rivet the handle into place, but I found that my handle kind of shifted a little too much, swiveled, if you will. So I'm gonna sew it in place as well. Well, not as well. I'm probably not even gonna add a rivet. And I'm gonna move this 1.5 inches in, centered. I had debated doing like a hidden strap connector handle on one of the bags that I made, but I just decided it was a little too much work for how small this bag is. But I think some kind of hidden connector would look really nice too. I love that I have no intentions to sell any of the ones I've made, so I'm like, what am I doing? I guess Dorothy's just gonna have a lot of little train cases. Okay. It's so cute. now we are going to grab our zipper tape and our exterior front and lining front. I should be able to use the double-sided tape because this isn't like straight up clear. It's got some glitter. So lining up that top edge. So my zipper is face down on my exterior, and then I'm gonna grab my lining, and luckily this clear TPU, the lining, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. If you're using a print, make sure you've got your right sides together. Okay, I'm telling you, it's just super disorienting to see the zipper tape and all that, but it looks really cool in the end. All right, so then we're gonna press this open and top stitch. If you prefer, you could put like the layers together and just add maybe a strip of jelly vinyl over top those layers to cover it up so it's not so much, because this is kind of a lot. Especially if you have a domestic, like sewing through 4 layers of TPU could be a bit much. But I'm just gonna pull these layers apart and top stitch. And I'm making sure that my bottom edges are lining up. No, when did you run out? Not the whole thing, no. Stupid. Okay, I should have known. Luckily, it's not PVC. I feel like PVC has a tendency to perforate a little more than TPU. Like, TPU has a little more flexibility than that, but that sucks. And luckily, my stitch length isn't too short. Hopefully that helps. Man, nothing kills the mood like running out of bobbin. I should have looked up. Ooh, this is looking so pretty. I really, honestly, I don't remember where I got this clear zipper tape. It could have been from Fabric Therapy, or it could have been from geekyhardware.com, but I do know that So Majestic does have clear rainbow zipper tape. Zipper Valley might also, I don't know. All right, so print face down. Oh yeah, I'm gonna want double-sided tape. My preference for double-sided tape is 1/8 inch wide. It's much easier to keep out of the seam allowance, and it's not likely to like show up again. I've seen some people use like 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape when they attach their zipper, and they're able to see it when they pull their layers apart, and that's always a big bummer. Okay. So I don't feel like I need to tape this next part down, so I'm just going to line up these layers. 3/4 of an inch. Nope, 3/8. In my other video, I mentioned how I have some seam allowance issues because my machine isn't quite able to do a perfect 3/8 inch up against zippers. So I mentioned you can either permanently adjust your pattern piece to take off a little bit from the top or bottom. I'd say bottom. But you could also add height to your back panel piece, because why not? Yeah, I'm going to pull these layers wrong sides together. Pressing as I go, and then I'm going to baste all this together. I may not baste along the sides, but I will the top and bottom. And I say not the sides because I don't want to see a ton of the stitching on the sides, because we're going to be putting right sides together to add the back panel. So yeah, my back panel is still about 1/4 of an inch short. So I'll end up trimming that off the bottom. I think I'm just going to go do it with a rotary cutter. So I'm basting along the bottom, making sure my edges all stay together. And then I'm going to baste along the top as well. Because I'm going to cover that up with binding. All right, so adding that back panel, we're going to put right sides together, lining up the top edge. And then we're going to add the back panel lining with the lining sides together. And this is a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then if you want to, you can trim down or trim down some of this. I am going to trim down my zipper tape. I don't want that peeking through. I'm going to take a lighter just to the threads within that area. And then we're going to open this and top stitch through. If you do not like seeing any of that bit, you could try to add a little binding over top, but you're just adding a lot of bulk. So it might not be the best idea. we're gonna bring our zipper pulls in. My God, stop. This is incredible. I'm gonna line these up and then I'm gonna baste. Well, I hate to do a basting stitch because you'll see it. So I guess I'm not. Crap. But all of this is gonna get rolled up. So do not use PVC with this. You're just gonna be mad at yourself. Line up those layers. 3/8 inch seam allowance. I really love the way this thread looks with all these layers. Like, it's just super obvious. Okay. So we're gonna flip this. Okay, and then we're gonna top stitch along that seam. And if you don't want to see several lines of stitching, you can try your best to stitch over your seam line, but if you think about it, that's not super feasible. So. Oh my God. That's beautiful. Okay, I gotta trim. I'm gonna baste all these layers together and trim to match the back panel. And then I'm just gonna baste along the top. And then trim up any inconsistencies. I had some pretty bad tension issues here, which is a first for me, but it was all the bulk, I guess, of the TPU. Looks fine from the top, but that's a little frustrating. I'm not really sure if there's much I can do to fix it other than a little bit of chaos to melt the threads together. And that wouldn't really work on a cotton thread. It would only work on nylon. All right, so we're gonna line up these pieces to mark our centers. Top and bottom. I love that this isn't like super see-through, since I used 2 layers of glitter. Like, you know there's something in there, but you might not be able to like distinguish exactly what it is. And you may try this with a single layer of TPU, but I don't think it's gonna have a ton of structure. TPU isn't a super sturdy material. PVC is, so if you really want to try it with PVC, you could do a single layer of PVC, but I think you'd be upset with yourself. I think you might curse a lot. Right. Tops and bottom tie. Okay, so we're gonna flip this. Before I add the bottom, I will unzip my zippers. All right, so keep in mind, I'm now sewing through like 4 layers of TPU. So if you think your machine's gonna have an issue, don't try it. And again, with these stitch lines, I know I'm covering it up with binding, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't know if I'm gonna add staples or not. The TPU doesn't stick to itself super great, so keep that in mind. I don't know how well double-sided tape is gonna stick either. But we'll try. Yeah, not amazingly. So I will use staples. Especially with the TPU, because it's just gonna slip and slide. And I don't want that. I don't want that for you either. The staples are definitely harder to see on the TPU though. Especially with all the glitter. Okay. I'm having some issues with the corner, but I think I can make it work. Feels like my layers may be shifted. So I'm just trying to work slowly. Definitely recommend that basting stitch. To hold the straightmost edges together before you go in to try and sew the round. Okay. I don't know. I'm definitely having some tension issues, which I have not had with TPU before, but I know they happen. So I understand that there's not a ton I can do about it except increase my tension on my machine. But it's really only through super bulky spots. So I'm also like, is it preventable? It's possible that the 2 layers on the top wasn't necessary. I'll know in the end. But I am going to trim down these layers to be consistent when I add my binding. Got all my staples out. Kind of wish I didn't have to add the bottom because the top was already a bit of a workout. Oh, I did miss a staple. It's still gonna look great. You could definitely make this into a little shaker with glitter. All right, so my jelly vinyl is my bottom exterior. So when I flip this, this is my exterior, this is my bottom. So just so you know. This side actually, I guess it'll be a little bit easier because I have the jelly. And not all TPU. Might be a nice little break. I'm gonna try to base the short sides. Even just that center point is something. All right, let's see. We may not need our staples now, but we will find out. So we're gonna pinch in the curves. Okay, well, it helps if it doesn't shift while you're stitching it together. Poop head. Yeah, it shifted by like just over 1/8 of an inch. That's not going to work. This side is good. It is really helpful. The pattern piece is not just an oval. It does have some shape to it, which really helps you line that up and gives you a bit better of a guide than just an oval, I think. All right, let's do this. The dreaded sound of a clip popping. Where you're like, no, now that area isn't secure. And that's why you staple. I said I was gonna unzip my zipper pulls, and I didn't. It's okay. So I was just thinking, I used to reach my hand in to adjust around curves. Make sure things were feeling okay. My sewing machine going through these layers, it kind of sounds like Wall-E when he gets his new eyes or whatever, and he's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Dorothy's been obsessed with Wall-E. All right. Did our best. Ooh, looking real rough. Right there. And like, do I want to add binding? I do. But I don't. But I do. I should say, but I need to. This would be much easier with just one layer of TPU. I don't feel like I would have had as many issues joining the pieces together. This was more experimental. This pattern is not written for clear, so just so we're clear, this is not pattern's fault. I think that, we even forgotten how to add binding. I think that pucker is because of a seam allowance issue. Maybe a layer shifted. And I just didn't realize it happened. Okay, let's do this. I don't know if the binding will make all of my problems disappear. Kind of doubt it. I don't think it will fix tension issues at all. It might, having that extra bit of fabric that isn't the TPU, but I don't see how that would fix it. Well, like, maybe. It still, my tension's still kind of messed up in those big bulky corners. Kids, don't try this at home. Well, do, but only do one layer of TPU. I don't know though, like I really wanted it to have a decent amount of structure. And like, it's got structure. So I did do that. All right, last little bit. It definitely has the Grimace Barbie vibes that I set out to accomplish. So job well done, me, and you, if you're making one like this too. Oof, this is a bad area. You can just feel like when you're adding the binding and things aren't level. Again, binding will, it's concealer. But it's fine. Not really. I'm covered in thread. Okay, so I have this woven label. It says, "Hi Barbie, hi Ken." I'm gonna stick it in there. So from the outside, well, no. When I look in at the bottom, it'll say, "Hi Barbie." Okay, here we go. I would give my binding efforts a solid C+ right now. Like, I already know things don't look great, so I'm not trying very hard on the binding. But I think so long as you're honest with yourself, like, it's fine. Again, I'm not trying to sell this to anybody. I couldn't. Well, maybe I could, but I'd feel really bad. Again, I had a little tension issue. So fix it the chaotic way. I'm gonna laugh if this actually looks pretty good in the end anyway. I don't think it will. Let's hope it turns out. I almost feel like this took longer to make than the regular one. What the heck? I don't think adding the stabilizer to the bottom was necessary. It already has a ton of structure within those seams, and I couldn't have guessed that would happen. I didn't think about the combination of all those layers within the seam allowances. Okay, I don't hate it. From far away, you cannot see any major issues. Like, it's all pretty solid. What sucks the most is I'm really, really happy with the structure. Like, it is sound. If it were just a single layer of TPU, it would be super, super flimsy, I think. We've got some pucker issues. Like, we're not going to talk about it. But it's so cute. So thank you for joining me on this fail. I would love to know how you plan to make a clear version of this bag, because it deserves to happen. But this ain't it. Okay, bye.